G'day and welcome to the Hunting Connection podcast. My name is Zach Williams and I am your host. Here we'll connect you with hunters, fishers and outdoor enthusiasts from around the globe. This podcast will share hunting and fishing stories including past experiences and tackle the tough hunting stereotypes our community faces. We hope to be a positive influence to those outside the community while also having a laugh along the way. Hope you enjoy the podcast. G'day and welcome to another episode. Today I have something a little bit different for you guys and girls. I got a spear fisherman, Liam from Coastal Lads. Welcome.
Hello, mate. It's a pleasure.
So what's been going on?
Not a lot. Just a little bit of diving here and there and where we can. And, just had a bit of exciting news happen with the Metro opening a little bit. So
Awesome. Yeah, I seen that the other day. That's a great success.
Yes, there's not many times that it works in our favour with law changes, but this is one of them. So
You want to dive into that quickly before we get...
Yeah, so basically there's Metro of Adelaide, which spans a large number of Ks, and we are not allowed to spearfish in that area within, I think, 600 metres of the shore. And, you know, some of these areas, obviously, you wouldn't want to anyway. You know, it's heavily trafficked with swimmers and beach goers and stuff, and usually the fish life there isn't too great. But, there's a bit of a section up south, sort of towards Moana, Halleck Cove there. And, they, through Dave Schofield and a few people behind him have... lobbied to get it open. So there's a section there that I don't know exactly how many hundreds of metres it is or a few Ks, but it's good ground through there, and we'll give some of these young fellas a bit of an opportunity to get out and shoot some fish not too far from home, because unfortunately otherwise, you know, if you don't have a boat or especially if you don't have a car, you know, as well, and there's not that many options, in South Australia. So
Yeah, it's pretty limited Adelaide region anyway. You have to drive. You know, at least an hour or more just to get out, unfortunately. Yeah. So we'll get straight into the questions. Where are you from?
Gawler.
Gawler?
So grew up in Gawler all my life, and first job worked in Gawler, and now living out towards Angwell with
nice.
The missus. So,
it's nice out there. Yeah. How old are you, man?
27. Birthday in a few days. So.
Nice. Happy birthday for then. This will be out first thing tomorrow morning. So, what do you do for work, man?
Physiotherapist.
Nice.
Yeah, spent most of the working career working in private practice, but a bit of a switch now. So, working in sort of community work in the aged care sort of sector. So,
how long have you been in that for?
I think it's been about 6-7 years now.
Much study involved for that?
4 year course. So it's good. Uni days were pretty fun. So
awesome. So now we've had a physio and a chiro on.
Was he not a physio? That other bloke
might have been. I confuse the two all the time.
Calling chiros, calling physio chiros.
He'll kill me. How'd you get into spearfishing, man?
So Dad, he's done a bit of line fishing, and that's what I grew up on. A little bit of line fishing, and I might have been, I don't know, maybe 12 years old when I sort of picked up the hand spear, the old Hawaiian sling, and that was Dad's old spear, and I don't think he'd stretched that rubber for a few years because I put on my snorkel and had the Hawaiian sling and went out by myself at little old Port Vincent there on York Peninsula, and just pretty much straight away got schooled by like mullet, and they're circling around, and I pull the rubber back and just snap straight away.
Oh, no.
Like, no. And I don't think I'd be able to do it today if I tried, but I held the spear, and the school is still swimming around me, and I just went jumped it and got it. Decent yellow wire mullet. So I was stoked. And,
that's wicked.
Yeah.
And that's where the passion started.
That's where it started. Yeah. Shot a few worse fish after that though.
So how'd you progress from there to where you are now?
It was just sort of pretty casual in those early days. We had a shack down at Port Vincent, family. So it was a little bit done there. And you know, when I went to uni, got into it a bit with a good mate of mine. We used to, most weekends when the weather was good, we used to head up to Wallaroo, and there was a little section there that we used to camp next to, and go shoot a few strongies for dinner. And
so what type of weather conditions are you watching out for to head out?
Back then, mate, it was anything. You go out, you get there and you'd be like, what? You jump in the water and it'd be like 6 foot of viz, and always managed to get a feed though. But anyway, the ones that you're sort of looking out for these days is obviously you need the visibility to be there, you know, and it can be glass calm and like shit water, like dirty water. So typically you want to be looking at the time before the day that you go out as well. So, you know, it might be a couple of days in advance. You need low swell, low winds. Usually you want the wind to be coming off of shore as well, heading out. Otherwise it can, you know, pick up the swell and the chop, and by the time it gets closer to shore, it's pretty dirty. And yeah, usually below sort of 10 knots, you know, if it's coming from the ocean to the shore, you can usually dive in it as long as it's sort of below 10 knots. But it changes from area to area.
So you're watching tides much, or just mainly swell?
Tides is, you know, if you're going for yellowfin whiting or something, and you know they're pretty tidal dependent in a lot of areas. You know, there'll be no water there if it's low tide, you know, but you go on a little bit of a higher tide, and you'll find different fish, and different areas work differently depending on the tide, and time of year as well plays a large part, and you just learn those, you know, patterns of behaviours. And
so is it summer you're mainly going?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a bitch when it comes to cold water. So,
and it gets pretty cold off the coast of South Australia.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not much for winter diving, but there are some good fish. Yeah, there are some good fish that can be found in winter, and there's a group of people that will go out and reliably get a good feed of fish in winter. But yeah, typically in the warmer months, so it's probably 3/4 of the year I'm out on a regular basis. Yeah.
So what's your most memorable session?
Probably on KI, Kangaroo Island. So we go there every year. We run state titles over there.
Yeah.
So that's getting more and more popular. But pretty good social scene in the competition side of it.
What type of turnout are you getting up over there?
Over there, I reckon this year. Oh, don't quote me on it. I did organise the comp, and I can't remember how many people. I reckon maybe 30 or something. You know, so
it's pretty decent.
Yeah. It's a balance. Like you want it to be a, you know, popular sport. I know hunting, you guys don't call it a sport, but there is a sport side of spearfishing, which we can get into in a bit. But you know, you want it to be popular, but then it's such a pain in the ass when you've got, you know,
too many people.
Yeah, and you try to find locations that will be suitable so everyone, you know, will more likely come across decent fish. And it's a bit of a logistical nightmare. But no, it's good. Anyway, we're over there for the state titles, but that was when the island had a lot of fire on it. So the bushfires went through there, and we were umming and ahhing about whether we would go. All the ferries were still on, but we decided we'd go, and brought a heap of supplies over for the locals. You know, they were lacking a bit of water and a few other necessities there. So we chucked everything in the boat as much as we could, and brought it over. But it was just a trip that had, you know, just good vibes, and good some good fish were landed. So that was actually when we were mainly diving out of tinny, so my 4.2 metre tinny.
Yeah, nice.
And that was a trip that we ended up sinking it as well. So it was memorable, but probably not all for the right reasons.
It's all right. You have to have some fuck ups around to make a good memorable dive or hunt, or we've all been there. So what type of species are you chasing over there on a dive like that?
KI has a really good range of cold water sort of species. So there's certain fish there that you might not get other places. in South Australia, or not. It's not as common. We know over there the sort of KI species that are pretty sought after are like queen snapper, rock ling, which I don't know if you've seen that, but they're like eel-looking.
Yeah, I was
fish.
about to say they're a big long,
they're nice.
long-looking thing.
They taste a lot better than eel apparently. So that and nannygai.
Yeah,
which you get them there in a lot shallower than other places, and harlequin as well. And that trip as well that I was just talking about, that was when we landed the first tuna. So you get tuna over there that won't give away too much, but they do come in pretty close to shore. So
it would be pretty mint.
Yeah,
you were saying they're pretty difficult to spear. I was saying just before the podcast that, man, I wish saltwater bow fishing was legal, because seeing the videos of the bait fish getting pushed to the surface, I'd love to have a go at shooting a tuna off the surface.
It'd be a hard one.
A lot of trial and errors, but people do it, especially in the States. There's videos of guys doing it with the what is it over there, yellowfin? They're bloody built for speed. Those things, like when you look at them close, and everything tucks away in it. Like the just a torpedo.
The dorsal fin, the pec fins, everything is just has little grooves, and it's just completely built for speed.
And what makes them even better? They're freaking awesome eating.
Yeah, bloody oath. Nothing beats a bit of sashimi.
So what's your gear run through? Not that I know much about the gear apart from, hand spears, flippers and stuff like that. Real basics for me. But what's your gear for anyone that's listening that knows their stuff?
Well, pretty well, I'll start for the listeners that don't really know much about it, but everyone that's into spearfishing will generally need a decent wetsuit, which they're the ones that are generally used for spearfishing. They're hard to get on. You got to be well lubed up and you slide in it. So decent wetsuit. Obviously, you need a spear gun. You can use hand spear, but spear gun is a bit of a must, I think, when you're trying to land more epic fish. Although with that said, there was a bloke. I think he would have been in. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but I think he's in his 50s. He's a rough looking fella, but he's based up in Queensland. He's an old timer, and he come over to the state titles once and kicked my ass, but he just using a pole spear.
Yeah, wow.
He landed some epic fish just with the pole spear. So anyway, spear gun, you obviously need a decent mask and a snorkel, and that's something that is a little bit overlooked. If you're swimming.
Do you have to get a mask fitted, or is it nothing like that?
You just got to get one that fits your face.
Yeah.
If you got access to a dive store, you just sit the mask on your face and squish it in a little bit, and if it stays there, if you feel that seal, then it's a good mask. But if it doesn't seal, or you're swimming around and there's just a little bit of a leak there, like it will wreck your dive.
Yeah, I've been there snorkeling. I'm horrible at snorkeling and diving. I've always got fogging up lens and that little bit of water coming in, and
it's those things though that I think get a little bit overlooked. Like people think, oh yeah, spearfishing, you just jump in and shoot the fish, but we're not. We're like big, fat, slow things in the water. We're not built to go on the water, and there's those finer things that someone will look at you and think, oh yeah, I can do that, and then they jump in the water and all of a sudden they don't have that. They can't keep themselves sort of upright on the surface, or they've got a bit of a leaky mask, or they don't know how to duck dive, and there's lots of things that go on that you just learn over the years, and it just becomes second nature. But
it's not easy. I did it that one time, and it just even getting down to, I wasn't even in that deep of water, so just watching guys that get down, insanely deep and going down and holding their breath, they're sitting on the bottom for a minute and a half. I'm guessing a minute and a half. Half's pretty good, just sitting on the bottom waiting. Yeah. But I was like we were talking before, I was chasing strongies around. I couldn't even get close to a strongie. I was lucky enough to get a flathead, but they just lay pretty still on the bottom, So
that's a good find. That's a good find.
I was pretty stoked.
Flathead though, they're sometimes a bit of a tricky species. You got to know. I mean, sometimes you get the ones that will sit there and they just really think they're camouflage, and they've got no idea that you're looking at them. But other ones, you'll you'll think, yeah, they're not going to move, and you'll think you'll be able to go up there and just almost jab them with your gun. And in the last minute, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like trying to work out and read that behaviour of the fish. Like sometimes when they see you, they'll sit up a little bit. They'll just move just slightly up, and that's when you know that you got to take the shot. But yeah,
this flathead must have been the stupidest flathead around to let me get close to it. But I dived down and pretty much put the gun on its head and pulled the trigger right between the eyes and just completely stoned it.
Sure it wasn't already dead.
Oh, probably.
That's good. Yeah, I've actually one of my first flathead that I got. I had my gun laying on it. I was picking up crabs or something, going bloody having a battle with a big blue swimmer, and
that's actually really fun.
Grabbing them.
I went out with the kids and the wife to the beach, and I just chucked a couple crab nets in at chest height, and I brought my snorkeling gear and I was picking them up and measuring them that way. They're pretty difficult to get underwater, pick them up. Yeah, especially when you don't have gloves on. I was kind of like holding them down and then like grabbing them and trying to measure them underwater.
Yeah, it's good fun. I don't mind that. It's a local fellow as well. There's a YouTube channel, EJC Adventures, and he started off doing that.
He's got the little tong things now, doesn't he? The little wire grabber.
People might use them. Yeah, it's just honestly it's just easier to get them with your hands.
Yeah.
But you gotta. How I get them is I dive down and you try to grab both claws at the same time. If you miss one, and the other claw is probably going to get your thumb or something.
They're pretty quick.
But it is good fun, and you can do it on like there's no laws with that. You're not carrying
with Metro Beach, yeah.
So there's plenty of places you can do it. So definitely a bit of a laugh. But yeah, anyway, going back to the gear. So knife obviously is essential. It's a safety and also important to dispatch fish with straight away. Freediving fins. So there's a couple of different fins that most people sort of use. You got like composite ones and then carbon fibre ones. They look pretty much the same. Carbon fibre are apparently a little bit more delicate. I trashed the hell out of mine and haven't had any issues. But they cost an arm and a leg, but they're worth it because you can just swim. You can get those 6 hours in and not feel as exhausted as if you were using little plastic little swimmer pool ones. But and freediving watch, that's another one. Torch. Looking under those ledges in South Australia, we get a fair few like ledge fish. So like rockling, they're one of them that you might be able to see them without a torch.
Crays too. See you guys get onto a fair few crays, and our mutual friend Rob, he seems to get a fair few decent crays.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky in SA in various spots for crayfish, and can reliably get a good feed. So we're allowed to use snares as well, which is a bonus. You can't use it in Victoria.
So what's a snare for crayfish?
So a snare is they might be a meter and a half, those super long ones, but basically it's like a noose. It's a long pole with a bit of wire sticking out at the end of it, and you can close the noose with the handle at your end of it, and you try to get it behind the crays on their tail and snare them. And then you pull them out, and you can get it over the horns with various snares as well. There's some that allow that close enough. And
they tuck themselves in pretty tight to those rocks, don't they?
Yeah.
I've heard some stories of people getting in there nice and tight and trying to pull them out and just no luck whatsoever, especially amateur guys who have not much clue stumbling across them. So
I spent hours trying to get. I was down at southeast and trying to get cray down out of the ledge, and it just gave us nothing. Hours of just diving, and trying different angles. We had two of us working this thing and trying to like get the actual snare and just push it out, or like scoop it out with your, with the arse end of your spear gun. And it just wouldn't budge. Like they are so strong for the small size they are.
They're a solid little thing.
Yeah, they just lock themselves.
But man, are they tasty? That's for sure. So, what type of spearfishing clubs are in South Australia?
So, we've we got one active club at the moment, Golf Skin Divers. So that's the only club, and we've been around since 2018. So relatively new. I think we got about 100 or so members at the moment. It kind of fluctuates a little bit year to year. You get people coming on the scene and sort of then disappearing pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's such a social hobby, spearfishing, and even in the competitive side, even at like national levels, it's real social, and it's like a spearfishing club is the quickest way to fine tune those skills. And you join up to a spearfishing club, and like instantly you've got access to information from people that have worked it out for combined those how many years.
So how did guys in South Australia find the club?
Good old Facebook. Facebook's the way to go. Yeah.
What about other states in Australia? What's Facebook? Just search your area, or is there a national organisation, or
there is? I think it got put on. There'll be Australian Underwater Federation. I haven't actually looked, but I'm pretty sure they would have a list of sort of clubs there.
Yeah.
Noob Spiro, which he does podcasts. I was telling you about the other day, and he has I think a list of clubs as well. I'm pretty sure on his website.
So he has a website or Insta. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's got a website. On that.
So what's his Insta? You'd probably know his
Noob Spiro.
Noob Spiro,
and
right.
OOB Spiro. Yeah, but he interviews people worldwide, and
So if you're interested in spearfishing, check that out, and find your local club. That seems to be your best way to get into it. Learn your spots and learn your safety stuff. And
we run a heap of social events. Not just like you got the competitive side. Even at the competitive side, as I said, it's really friendly. You can go there and you can compete against the best divers in Australia, Southern Australia. And you can also go there and just have a bit of a swim around, a bit of a laugh, and a few drinks, and
do some cook-ups and stuff as well.
I don't. Yeah, we do. I don't heaps feel like eating seafood, and I've been handling it all day. That's just me. But we do the odd cook-ups back at camp and stuff. But we done a few beach cleanups and things as well. We might do like just a gear night at the start of the season where everyone sort of gets their gear ready or whatever. Show people how to tie different knots and all that sort of all the boring stuff, but necessities. So there's a range of stuff that we do. So if anyone is thinking about jumping on board or getting into the scene a bit, then that's the way to go.
How regular are meetups, or monthly?
We try to do it. We try to do it monthly. Some things are weather dependent, but we try to do it this year. And then bloody COVID, of course.
Yeah.
But we try to do it this year once a month, I think.
Yeah, nice.
So we got the Yorks Classic coming up. I should know the date because I'm organising it about mid-March, I think, in a few weeks. We've also got a Metro Comp.
Yeah, nice.
Which is the first time that's been run in years. So I'm not involved in organising that, but Dave Schollfield's your man for that. But that's I think in a couple of weeks. So have a look. It's all on Facebook anyway. If anyone needs to reach out. Yeah.
Awesome. So, someone getting into spearfishing, what's your number one tip?
Probably to get down to the bottom. Like, it's probably the most common thing that I see new guys not do. Even I wouldn't even class them as new divers, but I've got mates of mine that I'm just like, dude, get to the bottom. Like, hit that bottom, like put your tummy on the bottom and sit there. Like, it does two things for you. Like, it allows you to see the shapes of the fish a lot easier because you don't have something behind them. You know, they're just sort of, you're looking up at them almost a little bit. So they stand out a bit more. And also, if you're down at the bottom, you don't look as big. You don't look like a threat. Like, fish will come up to you.
Yeah.
It's not, right, it's not quite that easy, but you know, it'll come up to you a lot quicker anyway. So hit
Well,
the
you
bottom.
look like a predator coming down from above,
Yeah,
more so than coming up.
That is like all it is. If someone can be, you know, if you're getting into sport and you can be really aware about your movements and like what you look like,
Yeah.
you'll be a gun diver real quick because you
So is it
slow down.
A lot of slow movements,
Yeah.
just
Even-
nice and slow.
Yeah, just really slow down. It'd be the same as hunting, really,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, well,
When you think you're going slow, go slower.
yeah, that's it. But slow down, hit the bottom, and I head movements as well was a big one. I get myself caught out a little bit with that. You know, I look back footage and I think, what the heck am I doing?
Just
you know,
looking
see the
around
camera
like
going, yeah. And there's a lot of fish that if you snap your head and you look, you know, straight at them,
Yeah.
they're going like snapper. We can't take them now. Got another
Unfortunately.
year
Yeah.
on the ban. So, but yeah, the way I've targeted them, I found that not looking at them, you know, you dive down, you see the fish and like look away. Do not make eye contact or like look through your fingers. Legit, look through your fingers because they will see your eyes. Some people wear like tinted masks and stuff as well. And they'll you know perceive you as not much of a threat and come up and what's this? Yeah.
Intense.
Yeah, it's
What about top 5 beginner items? I think you covered majority of that just before.
yeah. Fit the mask, so get a decent mask. It's a must. Warm wetty as well. Now we run most of us run 5mm open cell wetsuits.
Yeah,
it's just the type of wetsuit it is, open cell or closed cell. So open cell, it's the one that requires a bit of lube to get in. So fit a mask, warm wetsuit. That will, you know, like if you're warm, you're gonna be a lot more relaxed,
comfortable.
in the water.
Yeah.
Your movements are gonna be more natural. You'll be able to stay in the water longer. Like
It's hard work when you're in cold water. You just like takes your breath away.
definitely.
So I can see why wearing a warmer wetsuit will help out.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing as well, which I do see new people not doing as much as I'd probably like, but dive flag and a float.
Yeah.
You know, one
Safety
that
first.
allows you to be seen. Also, you get a bit exhausted, you can hold on to it.
So is there any regulations on what type of flag or float or whatever you have to?
Flag there is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's actually called. Don't even know. I can't even picture it in my head. I just know it's red. It's blue and white.
Yeah.
So half, I think. So that's pretty standard across
It's a pretty
Australia
standard
wide. I think.
nautical, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I think there's like
almost-
2 types
yeah.
of flags. The American one's a red one with a white stripe to it or something, I think. But ours are the blue and white one. So if you see a blue and white one, slow down. But that's pretty important for new divers. And weight belt's another one I see people mess up with. Or not wear one at all. You know, if you got a wetsuit on, you're buoyant and
Yes. Especially someone like me with a little bit of a gut, you're pretty buoyant. I can see why a weight belt would be necessary. Can you go too heavy, or is it done on body mass? Or
everyone's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, your makeup, your how much muscle versus fat, etc. But typically, you want to be to test it out. You put your weight on. It's a little bit trial and error. Put your weight belt on as much as you think you might need, and go upright in the water column, and exhale out. Take a big breath out, and you generally, as far as I'm aware, I'm not a free dive instructor. I haven't actually looked into this for a while, but pretty sure I'm right. Anyway, you take your breath out, and you want the water level to be like at your mouth.
yeah,
Some people might say, your top lip or bottom lip
Yeah.
or whatever, but it's around there. Basically, the end of it is you want to be still buoyant if you got no air in you. It's a safety thing, you know. You have a blackout or something under the water, which is our biggest risk for
I actually listened to one of the podcasts my wife listens to, Life Uncut, and they had a widow of a of a spearfisher who died, Queensland, year and a half, 2 years ago. I can't remember his name. He was a snowboarder or a skier or something.
Yeah.
Famous dude. But yeah, that's what happened to him. He blacked out underwater and belt maybe too heavy and just sunk.
It's definitely our biggest risk. You know, people think, sharks. But,
yeah. Especially recent times.
yeah. But blackout's a real risk for us, and not so much at beginners. I mean, anyone can black out, but it's typically more of a risk with those that are been in the sport for a couple of years, whatever, really starting to push their depth, push their limits, and sometimes they just get it wrong. So
unfortunately, that's anything. But you're probably more likely to die in a car accident heading or coming home from a spearfishing trip than something bad happening in the water.
Yeah, that's it. But it's always good to have a dive buddy though.
Yeah.
So if shit happens, and there was a bloke just recently. It didn't get sort of put onto mainstream the Facebook groups or anything.
Yeah.
But a mate of mine pulled him up from the bottom. He had actually had a blackout when they were going for crayfish.
Yeah, wow.
And he's really, really lucky to be alive. Heaps of things sort of worked in his favour in the end. He just got it wrong. He went down, I think, to go get a crayfish under a ledge and like a cave sort of set up, and I think got a little bit disorientated with the entry and exit.
Yeah,
took the wrong turn and actually struggled a bit and come up to the surface, and that's sort of all he remembers is seeing the surface above him, and then he obviously sunk down, and a couple of minutes had passed. I think they worked out it was like 2.5 minutes or something.
Yeah, wow.
Which you wouldn't want it to be any longer.
No.
But, the mate of mine just saw him on the bottom and saw bubbles first, I think, actually. Yeah, just sort of coming up from the surface, and thought, what is he doing blowing bubbles?
That's insane, man. That's insane. That's something we're very fortunate to not encounter on dry land when we're out hunting, It's not something you think of, It's a whole another level, that's for sure. So speaking of that, what challenges can you face when starting out spearfishing?
Everything looks bigger. That's probably the another sort of common one that people report.
Because with spearfishing, you have to keep within the limits and the size limits.
Yep.
So
all the same regulations apply.
How do you keep within that? Because sometimes it's a centimetre, sometimes,
Yeah. I mean, we decide what we're going to take.
Yeah.
You see a school of whiting in front of you. You're not heaps sure about some of them in the school. You just get the biggest one. So it does allow a little bit more selective hunting in that respect. But generally at the start, we just encourage people just to take those fish that don't have the minimum sizes. A lot of people start on strongies anyway, so go measure a couple of those bad boys up and see what they go. And it really doesn't take as long as what a lot of people think. I mean,
so is there anything that you can look under water and use as like a size, like anything on your gun or on your hand, or
we have it's a hard one because usually by the time we have stickers on our guns, that run the length. Our guns in South Australia are generally 90 centimetres to a metre sort of like length gun. And we run a sticker that runs that length and has all the centimetres on there. So I mean, by the time you hold that up at a fish that's swimming by, it's not the fish generally come in and then they're gone. You're just like, wait, hold up, I gotta measure you for a sec. It has happened with kingfish.
Yeah,
a couple of little kingfish were swimming by, and a couple of times where like the small ones sometimes are pretty inquisitive.
Yeah.
You can have something shiny or something, and they'll keep coming in. And a few times where I've been like, no. But it does get easier. The whole big fish, small fish kind of thing. It's not as much of a challenge as what those that haven't done it do perceive. So, and IDing fish is another one.
Yeah. Yeah, you see that with line fishermen too.
Yeah.
Like it's
What is this?
every
Yeah.
South Australian fishing page. It's probably like in Australia and even worldwide.
Yeah.
Can somebody ID this?
Yeah.
What's this fish? What's this?
It'll be on there,
And there'll be
dinner
like
table
30
at home or
yeah.
something as well.
There'll be 30 different answers of what it is. Like it's
It's always a bit of a laugh there. What people comment on there. Like I think it's spearfishermen are generally. I'm probably a bit biased saying this, but we're generally a lot better at IDing fish because we have that opportunity
it's a
to do that.
specific. It's a specific thing. You're going down there to do it, where
Yeah.
anyone can pick up a rod and line and just
Yeah.
go fishing. Like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. And we see a
it's
lot more
generalized.
Yeah, yeah. And we see a lot more fish as
Yeah.
well, as in like what you catch on line. There's not, there's plenty of fish that we'll see down there that linos just hardly ever see.
Yeah, exactly.
So, our fish ID is usually pretty good with spearfishermen. So yeah, that's something you want to be a little bit mindful of. Luckily in SA we don't have. Obviously you got to know the ID for the minimum size.
Yeah,
you got to have that in your mind. If you're not sure, don't shoot it.
Yeah,
do not shoot it. I'm sick of seeing people. It happens with line fishermen as well, but people taking home fish and then asking like what it is, like that just grinds.
it happens with hunting too. Someone will shoot a deer and they'll be like, "Can someone tell me what species of deer this is?" And it's like, well, you should know what species it is before you pull the trigger. Like,
before you even bloody go out.
We've got 6 species of deer in Australia. Like, it's not that hard to work it out. So, and there's probably, a good couple hundred species of fish you can take in South Australian waters.
Yeah. It's always a bit of a giggle.
What about, like, breath? How do people work on their breath when they're starting out?
Yeah. That's something, people ask, how do I hold my breath for longer? How do you do it? Most of our diving in SA is pretty shallow.
Yeah.
You get some epic fish in shallow, like really good fish. And you don't actually need to hold your breath as long as what a lot of people realise.
Yeah.
So don't get too caught up.
So what kind of depths are you mainly fishing at?
90% of my diving will be under 10 metres of water. Probably even a large portion of that will be under even 5 metres.
Yeah, wow.
I do enjoy a lot of shallow water stuff.
Is it more difficult in shallow water?
It's different. I wouldn't say one's more difficult than the other.
Don't want to stir the pot between the deep divers.
It's you might hunt fish differently. Like if you're like King George whiting, everyone knows King George whiting, and they're quite a small long fish, so they are hard to spear. It's not like you're shooting a big
And they're
pelagic.
pretty sand, flatty, weedy areas.
Yeah, but you can get them in knee-deep water in certain areas. You can get them in 20 plus meters of water.
Yeah.
And how you target them, how you behave, how you approach them will vary depending on the depth as well. So, I personally find fish in like that 3 meter depth is really hard because you kind of can't shoot them from the surface, but then you go to dive and you're that close to them when you dive down that they just screwed off anyway. It's that stuck in the middle zone that's difficult. But yeah, breath hold. It's something that I think is over focused on to get good at your breath hold. Just dive. But again, it comes down to being relaxed. If you're
What I've heard is you can hold your breath longer than you think you can when you first start. That first kind of like gasping for air, like you can still get quite a bit more out of that than what you think. Like you don't need that air straight away. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah. It's again, I'm not a freediving instructor. I haven't even done a freediving course.
Yeah.
But my knowledge of it is that our urge to breathe comes from a build-up of CO2
Yeah.
rather than oxygen. Oxygen is the stuff that feeds our blood with the stuff to keep us awake in the water,
Yeah.
so we don't black out. But for newer divers, when you're moving around lots, you're not doing much of a nice relaxed breathe up. Your CO2 levels are going to probably be higher, so therefore that's telling you breathe, breathe, breathe. When actually you don't, you still actually got heaps of supply of oxygen. So it's a little bit more complicated than that, I think. But
I was listening to something
not
on
wrong.
breath the other day, and like the longest underwater breath hold, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like 22 minutes or something.
Nuts.
Like that's insane.
Yeah. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, I can hold my breath for 2 minutes easily." Like me personally, I've hit 2 minutes on a small number of occasions. I don't push my breath hold too much. Just don't need to. But but people will sit there on their lounge chair and be like, "Yep, 2 minutes," and they think, "Yep, that's going to allow them to dive 2 minutes in the water." There is so much more going on.
You're moving. Like I can do 2.5 laps of a pool underwater, or just a standard like backyard swimming pool, in ground type thing, But like even that, like you're moving around a fair bit, and you're like on that last bit, you're like,
unfortunately, it doesn't translate when you're hunting and you see those fish and your heart rate goes up. Like, I remember my first good snapper that I got. We were on York Peninsula. I had my girlfriend out. She hadn't been diving that much. She spearfishes with me, and I had this area that was burling up a few sea urchins or something, and all these fish started coming in. We're only in like 2 meters of water, and didn't really see too much, so we wanted to take. And I'm swimming off, and she's calling me back, and she's like, "I just saw a fish. It looked like a brim, but it had blue spots on it." And at that stage, I really wanted to get a good snapper. And I'm thinking, "Oh, she don't know bloody fish. Like, she's probably just a drummer or something, So I brushed it off.
yeah,
Then she was like, "No, it was bigger. Like I'm sure of it." So anyway, I went back and burled up the spot a little bit, left it for like half an hour. She then got out, and I went back to that spot. And sure enough, there was a couple of good-sized snapper there.
Yeah, wicked.
And I shot one, and I got that bloody excited. Like, my heart rate was going, and I don't have asthma, but I felt like I had asthma. I was out in the water. I was so excited, and I couldn't breathe. And this other snapper was, like, swimming around. And all I had to do was just relax enough so I could just dive down.
You couldn't.
And I couldn't. I was that excited. Like, it just goes to show that.
So we call that in hunting, like you shoot a deer, first of species, whatever, big buck, big goat, big pig. We call that buck fever pretty much. Do you guys have a word like that for it?
As in when you get
that excited. You're shaking like it's buck
before
fever.
you shoot or after you
Both,
shoot?
man. Like there's people that I've known that couldn't shoot a deer because they were like just shaking and excited. Like it's the same.
Yeah, we don't have a word for it.
Nah.
But, definitely happens.
We call it buck fever.
It's it's an odd one because the build up to it, and I'm sure it'll be the same with hunting.
Yeah.
You are trying to calm yourself down as much as possible, but then sometimes you it's like a switch goes off and you see what you've been after for who knows how many hours and days.
It relates to hunting, man. Like sometimes you're hiking to a top of the hill for goats or whatever, and you get up the top and you see something you want to shoot, and your heart's still pumping, and you're trying to, like, especially bow hunting, you're trying to, you draw back, and you're just trying to control your breathing, stop shaking, catch your breath, get it under control. And I'm sure it'd be exactly the same, but you can't take a deep breath in while you're underwater. Like
I think it probably works in our favour because we're already. Like we've already brought ourselves down to that a lot more relaxed level, and then you see the fish. Whereas, I don't know, for hunting, maybe you see it, and then you've got to bring yourself down.
So that excitement when you shoot a big fish or first of a species or whatever, in hunting, it can translate to lots of different emotions. Some people are over the moon, they're screaming, they're like with joy, they're happy. some people cry. Like I've been with, grown men that just break down in tears.
Yeah.
Like, do you get that spearfishing or
I haven't heard of anyone reporting it too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's people out there that will cry when they get their fish. I haven't seen it with my mates. They probably wouldn't want to cry around me anyway, to be fair. But I shot it was a 8.5 kilo snapper.
Yeah.
That was my biggest by far that I've ever got. And
It's a big snapper.
yeah, it was. They're so challenging when they get that big. And I'd been after a big snapper for so long.
Did he have like the big mound on his head or the big knob?
Yeah, it wasn't too knobby, but yeah, the just the pure size of it was just bloody awesome. And yeah, I got to the surface and I was like, I was like crying, but nothing was coming out.
Yeah.
It was just that build up of so many dives, so many hours. And
It's
hours.
weird experiences, man. Like hunting, like I've cried myself when I've shot stuff. Like it's like you just get a rush of different emotions that come, like excitement and time. Like it just all builds into it.
Yeah.
Comes out different ways. Like I said, I've gone out with 35, 40-year-old guys that just burst into tears when they've shot something. Like it's it's funny, but people handle.
Yeah, I can certainly understand.
And like Stephen Ranella from the Meat Eater podcast, he says like things with eyebrows. Like people don't react like that with fish because they don't have eyebrows or eyelashes. Where mammals. It's a.
I haven't done much hunting at all. Personally, I'm definitely keen to get into it. But
we'll have to get you out for a deer or something.
I'm keen to learn. Yeah, for sure.
Do some venison with some crayfish, some surf and turf.
I had venison last night actually.
Nice.
Yeah, mate of mine dropped us some. Although I did look at the bag. How long does that last for? That was from
April
or something last year.
That's
all right.
I've got stuff in from 2-3 ruts ago. Like it's pretty hardy stuff if you seal it right.
Tastes good. But I'm keen to get into it for sure. But, I'm glad that fish. That's what I was going to say. I'm glad that fish don't look that cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're slimy, stinky things, and I think that's one thing that I personally will struggle with.
Yeah.
I'm sure most hunters are animal lovers as well, but when something's a bit cute and fluffy,
It's a different experience. Everyone there's no way in hell you would go out with a rod and reel and pull in a deer on a treble hook or with barbs and stuff on it, but every other person's fine with it for fishing. It's
it's one of those things in it that I think a lot of people sort of overlook a lot of those things. We just as humans, I think, place value on certain lives and animals over others.
100%.
At the end of the day,
I do it.
Yeah,
you probably do it. You know.
But you got to remind yourself, don't you? Like just because there's fish out there that taste good but they look like they're stunning fish. They look pretty, and you don't want to. A lot of people out there don't shoot them, but it's like why though? They're in plentiful numbers. It tastes good. It's sustainable. Why do we do that?
Yeah,
so much,
it's same with animals, man. Like we value dogs over, it's some countries eat dogs, but we value them more because we see them as a pet. Majority of the population wouldn't eat a dog if it was life or death. You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's all meat. It's all edible. Depends how hungry you are and. So what's some spearfishing etiquette for people getting in? It says
so it's kind of like, I suppose, two parts to it. You got etiquette with other divers and just the scene in general, and then you got like etiquette with other ocean users, so other fishermen and boaties and whatnot. But the etiquette between like other divers. I think everyone does it. You get it in hunting as well, is where they'll be like, oh, where do you go? Where's your spots? Tell me that spot that you've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours working out yourself. Tell me how
all too well.
Tell me where are the deer. put me in front of the deer. Yeah. And it's just a no-no, with spearfishing and fishing in general. Just ask for tips.
Yeah.
Ask for tips, but don't ask for spots.
Yeah.
And definitely another thing is I think it's just like common sense, but pay your way. There's a lot of people out there that will jump in your boat, you take them out all day, and they don't even buy your lunch. You stop for lunch on the way home, and they split it, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So
similar type of things with. It seems a lot of things with hunting and spearfishing are very, very much
definitely, and spots as well, like respecting other people's spots.
Don't go back to a spot without asking if someone's taken you there and shown you.
It sounds like it's the exact same. Like for me personally, if someone shows me, like takes me to a spot, or even just tells me about a spot, as long as you're not talking like just a generalised area.
Yeah.
If they're like, yep, go to this spot, get these fish, whatever.
Specific rock, reef, all of that type of...
Do not go back there without them or without asking them.
Yeah.
Again, people just... It astounds me how numb people are to that.
Yeah, it's the same, and it's even worse here because it's private property for hunting, It's... You take someone out and then... You get a phone call from the property owner saying, "Hey, such and such is back here asking if they can come out." Like
that's cheeky, eh?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different in the ocean because no one really owns it.
Yeah. That is a bit of a tricky thing. Is that people have, I suppose, a little bit of the attitude, or you don't own the spot, but it's like, well, you're right, but. Had no idea it was there if I didn't guide you.
Exactly. Just ask.
Yeah.
The majority of the time you'd probably say, yeah, go ahead. But, someone goes back there without asking you after you've taken them out there, it kind of, it's a weird feeling. Like you feel used and hurt. And
100%. If anyone ever does that to me, especially the spot thing.
You write them off pretty quick, eh?
It's so quick. It's like, one mistake like that, and it's just like, yep, I'm not taking you out again. I'm not giving you any tips. Like, I don't know, it's a bit hard like that. Just because I wouldn't do it.
Exactly. That's the same. What about boating etiquette?
Yeah, the current rules in SA is to you have to have a dive float.
Yeah.
When you're in the water. And you got to be within 30 metres of the dive float. Boats can come within that distance, but if they're 50 metres or closer to you, they have to do below 4 knots.
Yep.
Pretty sure that's what the current rules are. But, it is advised that if you don't have to come within that distance, then don't. So, I mean, it can go both ways. The boating etiquette is, you see someone spearfishing, don't come that close to them.
Exactly.
Close calls that you,
props are not something you want to fuck around with, that's for sure. I've seen some pretty gruesome photos floating around the net of people that have come too close to divers. It's, doesn't look fun, that's for sure.
Yeah, but... just respect it, and the other way as well. If you see someone fishing a spot as a diver, don't go there.
Don't pull up your boat next to them and start diving under their burley slick. Start pulling on their line.
Tuna's a difficult one though because in South Australia here we get bluefin, and there's not that many divers that have worked them out. We definitely haven't. We've landed a few.
Yeah, I'd have to say your photos of you guys spearing tuna that you posted up the other day on your Insta, that's probably the first tuna I've seen personally speared in South Australia. So
there's definitely,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good day. Yeah, we haven't actually landed more than one tuna on the boat before, so it was good that we all got on them.
Yeah, no, that was sick.
So but the etiquette with tuna fishing, even a lot of the line fishermen, there's like this whole
go around the
separate
bait
rules.
school.
Yeah.
Some people could just go straight through the middle of the school.
Yeah.
Like you watch the tuna page over tuna season, which what tuna season starts end at mid-December and runs through to like mid-March.
Yeah,
the
pretty
tail end.
Yeah.
In off of Victor Harbour.
Yeah.
Cape Jervis, and it's just every day. Like who was this person that went straight through the school?
It is absolutely like we were when we
a lot
were
of
out
cowboys.
There, so many. We were out there. So the last trip was a good one. We landed fish. The trip before that we didn't.
Yeah.
We did probably close to like 200 k's in a boat, like just all day, just driving around and trying to look for birds and sunning schools and stuff. And we come across this area that had some boats on it, and it was obvious that there was going to be tuna around or whatever, and no one was moving. Everyone was just still, just like floating there. People would have been there, a dozen boats, and the next thing, like these birds start dropping in the distance, and it was close to us. So like we were like the second boat there. We weren't going to jump in, but we were kind of just there seeing what was going on. I mean, it's tempting to jump in, but
I bet.
But then we turn around behind us, and there's like a dozen other boats are just like hammer it, just straight for the school. And it was like, there might be one boat that's going to land a fish here, but they're all driving over it, and there's just no etiquette with them.
All lures out. Like that would be pretty trippy. Like trying to dive in a school and you've got lures flinging past your head. Like
pretty much, we don't approach. We will not dive in a school that has boats, linos already on it.
Do you have a spotter on your boat usually?
Yeah, always have boaties. We usually run 2 in the boat.
Yeah.
So one's purely a driver, the other one helps the gear, throws pillies out, and then 2 in the water. That's what we typically will do. But if there's a school, there's an awesome bust up happening, but there's one boat on it, we won't dive it.
Yeah,
but unfortunately,
safety.
Yeah, it's safety, and it's when we spear tuna in particular, they might dive down a bit deeper.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that would affect then if linos catch them, but it's mainly a safety thing. But unfortunately, it doesn't go the other way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If linos see us on a school, and there's a bust up happening near us or fish on the surface.
If there was any guys that fish that tuna run, is there any advice you could give them to keep an eye out for spearos and what they could do?
Typically, we're going in the better days.
Yeah.
Because you want that visibility there. So, usually it's pretty obvious that when you're in the water, we're not tucked behind big swell. Like we don't usually go out on those days. But we'll all have a flag up on our boat. You see that blue and white flag. If we're on fish, I mean, it would be good to be given some space. We won't jump in on your fish. But with that said,
I know a couple of guys that do hit the runs pretty hard. One of them runs a podcast. He listens to this. Shout out to James from Two Dads Fishing. He's probably good bloke for you to have a chat to about it, because he's got a good listening of fishers. So
but if people kept their distance and worked the outside of the school like most linos would anyway, then
it's just that fear of the one guy coming through the middle. It would not be fun getting hooked with a treble as you.
I don't imagine
especially the speed some of those guys trawl through it. Like it's.
One year we had this school on the surface. They were like sunning, and there's no birds. But the tuna were there. We could see them, and they were about 50 metres from the boat. We were just approaching them about to jump in. We waited all day to find tuna, and there's this one yellow boat that's coming off in the distance, and we're thinking, he's not going to come that close to us. And just straight through the school. We were waving our arms, waving the flag, nothing, and
it'd be frustrating, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Zombie apocalypse weapon. Off-cuff one.
I asked this to one of the other listeners the other day, so I did have a bit of a think about it. There's a lot of weapons out there that wouldn't be ideal though. You can't have ones too reliant on ammo.
Spear gun wouldn't be great.
It would be great. No, you don't want to have to be attached to the other end of that. But yeah, I reckon I'd go with a big ass. I would probably like a spear thing, like a 10-foot spear that you probably catch me up in a tree, like just jabbing down at them. Like you can keep the distance. You got unlimited ammo, but. Yeah, it's a difficult question, that one. I don't think there's anything that's perfect.
It's fun. I'm a big zombie nerd. Like I watch all the zombie movies and series and stuff. So
what would you go with? What's your?
I've spoken about it before. I'm a big Walking Dead fan. I love it. Just for the shits and gigs, I'd go bow.
A bow?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
What about when you run out of arrows?
It's a club.
Just use it as a.
You always have knives. I got knives. I've got tomahawks. I've got all sorts of.
You prepped.
Yeah,
you've actually got a doomsday vault or something going around there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just right underneath you. What have you forgotten on a dive?
I'm pretty bloody good with. I will pack generally like 2 days in advance, and then I'll quickly go over it again when when we're going to leave. But the only thing that I reckon I forgot is seasickness tablets.
Yeah,
I get motion sick. Like it is nuts.
It's not ideal to get motion sickness when you hit.
Not at all. When you're underwater, when you, I've been like 10 meters down, and I vomited on the bottom. Oh, and the first thing you do when you vomit is like you want to breathe. Yeah, and that 10 meter swim up to the surface. Not ideal, And when I first started diving, it was every dive. It was every dive I'd vomit.
I used to get really bad in cars, like before I moved up to the hills when I was younger. I'd go down round a roundabout and I'd get motion sickness. Yeah. Like that's how bad I used to get. Like it's.
Do you still get it?
Nah.
Grown out of it.
Grown out of it. At least you're underwater throwing up. There's a good burley slip for you to fish, man.
When we first started diving, and generally we'd spearfish, like shoulder to shoulder sort of thing. There's a few times that I vomited and people are swimming around in it thinking, what the fuck is this? This is burley. Look at all these fish coming up and they're swimming around in my lunch. But
why do we have corn in our burley slick?
But that's it's pretty well. If I don't have, I have travel calm. Calm. Coils don't really work for me, but if I don't have that, like
you're a write off.
I'm a write off, and it can be a glassy day, like glass, and no,
that's insane.
It's an absolute necessity. So me forgetting that's
is that pretty common? Like people getting motion sickness and seasick.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
In spearfishing, I think probably more people might get affected by it when they're under the water compared to on the water.
Yeah, wow.
On top, because sometimes you'll be in months like seaweed.
Yeah.
Kelp, and like you think you're moving one way, but you're not, and it's just the kelp moving, and then it just like throws you off and like instantly like. Bleh,
Yeah, wow. That's not something I thought of getting seasick underwater. Like I've always thought it was like just because the horizon's moving. Like
it's not fun, and the worst thing though about that is after the dive, like they zonk you out.
Yeah,
like you are wrecked afterwards, just tired out. Mate of mine, he's not heaps talkative when we're going.
Yeah,
but I think after the dive, because he's a bit more excited, like he doesn't shut the fuck up. So on the way home, I'm just wanting to sleep, and he's just like, me. It's just, they zonk you a bit, but
that's
it's
hilarious.
Just a sacrifice that you gotta.
So what's your funniest spearfishing experience or dive or?
Funniest is it was a bit of a standout one here. It was a 2-day trip with mate Alistair.
Yeah.
On a jet ski, and first part isn't really funny, but it kind of just adds to it. But long story short, we're coming home. We're off of Cleason's Landing.
Yep.
On York's there. No radio service or anything out there. Didn't know, but do now. But ran out of fuel.
No.
I don't know how he ran out of fuel. Apparently, when he topped it up, it must have splashed back at him and said there was no fuel there. So it was getting later in the arvo, and sun's coming down, and we're I don't know, a couple of k's offshore or something, and the wind started to pick up, blowing us offshore.
No.
Like the anchor wasn't really doing too much of a job, and we're like, shit, we gotta go in. Either we gotta swim in, and try to swim this jet ski back. And it's at the basic cliffs as well. There's no you couldn't pull the bloody boat in there, or we'll set off a flare, and just hope that one of the boats like around the corner might see or something. Like heaps of people camping and stuff. Like someone will see it surely. Decided we'll set off a flare, and like nothing happened, and we thought nothing happened anyway, and decided to swim this jet ski back in. It's getting pretty late, and swam it all the way in, climbed up the cliff, and I get up to the top of the cliff, and greeted by a bunch of people, couple of coppers and ranger and a few other people, and he's asking like, "Are you right?" He said, "We got reports that there was a couple of people in the water." I was like, "We just like swim it back. We just need to tow back." And he goes, I can call off the police chopper then." Like the bloody police chopper was on its way. And I was like, "Oh my God." Anyway, we got towed back, and back by a couple of lads in a tinny, and
Yeah.
the next day, didn't tell them we ran out of fuel though. Like, we just said it was an engine issue. But next day we went to go launch the jet ski again. To try again, and we were in shallow water, like near where they were launching the boats, and the guys that towed us in are like next to us, the engineers, right? And we got out with our gear on the jet ski, and my mate's got his kill switch on his life jacket.
Yeah.
The life jacket's hooked over the handles of the jet ski, and he goes, "I'll start it up to warm it up." So he starts his jet ski up, and something's touching the fucking throttle. So this throttle is going full throttle, and he's holding onto this life jacket, then getting dragged behind, and it's pulling it on more throttle, and the kill switch isn't disengaging. So he's then taken down this beach, like he's a big fella, and all I can see is white water behind this jet ski. He's getting towed around, and he lost grip. He couldn't do it anymore, and he let go, and this jet ski is just going like flat out. I don't know what was holding the throttle down, but it was full, flat out towards these rocks, right?
Oh no.
Yeah, and we're just waiting for the crunch. Somehow goes through the only gap in the reef there.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, thank fuck for that. It was such a relief. But then it like straightens up and just starts heading offshore. And we're like, oh shit. so he ended up, the guy who owned the boat that towed us in the day before was parking his car.
Did this happen to get posted on Facebook? Was it?
I
I kind of remember maybe seeing something on one of the fishing pages. I think maybe whoever towed you in, and that they might have posted something up.
I saw a couple of like cheeky comments, but we tried to keep it pretty quiet because it was kind of like a dumb and dumber moment,
Yeah,
But, it was
you talking
mental.
about it. It just rings a bell. Like I'm not sure if those guys posted it up on one of the South Oz fishing pages.
I hope not, but there was a lot of people watching. And yeah, he hopped in this tinny, and just the mate in one's like, we got to go chase it. So they take off in the tinny, and the boat owner comes back down, and he's like, "Fucks, where's my boat?" I'm just like, oh god. Like, there after that, and it went down the beach and K's down the beach and went around, and end of it beached itself luckily because a few more 100 meters down the beach and it would have hit the base of the cliff. So
Yeah, wow.
super lucky. Still runs.
That's insane.
We didn't lose any gear. The gear fell in the footwells as well, and it was a interesting trip, that one.
I bet.
Back to back shit show.
What's the sketchiest, most dangerous thing to happen out on a dive, apart from losing an out of control jet ski and?
I mean, it wasn't sketchy, but when we sunk the boat on KI, that was that was interesting. We weren't necessarily in heaps of danger because it was like glass off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure the people that
Was it someone forgetting to put the bung in?
It was a tinny. So we were going for tuna. We come across this school of tuna. Just landed one, like the first one, and it was like they were dumb fish, man. Everyone on the boat was going to land one. There was three of us.
Yeah.
But they were not going anywhere. Like this is the shit you dream of. You'll wait so many years to find a school like that.
Yeah.
Got a fish, put it on the boat, and when you're going for tuna, you kind of got to like troll a little bit, and then you jump out of the moving boat
Yeah.
kind of thing at a low amount of knots. So you jump straight on to school. And, we just had the wrong amount of revs going in the boat, plus two, grown men sitting a little bit too far back on the sides, but too far back, and it got a low cut transfer. Just a combination of just
Filled up with water.
Oh mate, we didn't realise. We were all watching this tuna school ahead, being like, yeah, like it's gonna happen. I got it all on footage as well, and we're like fist pumping, like, yeah, let's do this. And no one saw the arse end of the boat, like getting filled with water.
Why is my feet more wet than usual?
That's exactly what the partner. We were all sitting out like on the edges of the boat, but partner was standing up in the middle of the boat, being like, "What the fuck? There's water there!" And like, it was interesting, but yeah, it was a good day to sink the boat because it was nice and calm. But I was worried that we were going to get pulled away by the current.
Yeah.
Because I've dove that sort of stretch before, and it can be like mad current.
Yeah. So how'd you end up getting out of that sticky situation?
We were a couple of k's offshore,
Yeah.
but we were motoring in. But we couldn't get the arse end out of the water enough. So we just kept taking on more and more water. They're bailing. And we got about 400 metres from the shore, and it was just a bathtub.
Yeah.
The motor conked out. And
Oh no.
basically, we had everything sort of ready to go. Had an EPIRB in the hand, and a mobile phone, car keys. And so that went under, and I was like, all right, now we can set it off with the EPIRB. And it was about a 6-hour process, but thank God for the help that we had.
Yeah, wow.
But we managed to actually, the boat was back on the trailer about 6 hours later.
Yeah, wow.
We swam it back to shore. Got most of our gear back because it was glass off. Most of the stuff was floating.
That's nuts.
Super lucky in that respect. But
yeah, it's pretty sketchy waters out there.
yeah,
A couple of guys go out and chase the tuna and the yaks, and I'm just like, oh man, if only I had a better yak. Like it'd be, like I've almost thought one of the guys I know, he runs one of the charters down off of Cape Jervis. I'm like thinking, maybe just get him to tow me out there and tow me back in. I'll go land a tuna on the yak and then be like, hey Ben, come tow me back in, man.
I don't know if that counts or that.
Doesn't matter. Make me happy.
But yeah, KL's got epic diving close to shore. It's awesome.
So what's the most important thing you take out on a dive?
Probably the tablets.
Tablets?
For me, that's me. But the other thing as well is a shark shield.
Yeah.
Again, that's a bit of a personal preference.
Yeah.
There's enough science there. People will be like, oh, they don't work. They don't do anything.
So is it like an electronic?
So a shark shield is basically a device you wear around your ankle.
Yeah.
There's ones you can put on surfboards and things. And has an antenna that might be, 5 foot long.
Yeah.
That's kind of like neutrally buoyant, and it just sort of follows you.
It just puts like an electronic pulse out.
Every, half a second.
Yeah.
Doof, doof, doof of electronic pulse.
Yeah.
If you touch it, it like fucking hurts.
Yeah.
But obviously sharks use their
nose
sensors.
Yeah, they're pretty sensitive. So
yep. So when they come, within, I think it's like 5 meters or something like that, 5 meters. They'll not like it, and it will deter them. And the first time that I've seen it in action, I've had bronzy action before, but I hadn't had my shark shield on me because it was shallow water. But this one there was coming around this bronzy and eating pillies when we were going out for tuna and eating, and then I turned the shark shield on, and as soon as it come within distance, there was lots of pillies below me.
Yeah.
As soon as it come in, it was just like, no, fuck this, doof, and just left, didn't come back. So
would bronzies be the most, for anyone that's not in Australia or South Australia, it's a bronze whaler sharks.
Yeah,
that's what a bronzy is. Would bronzies be your most common shark you run into?
Yeah, prior to the last couple of years, I hadn't actually seen a shark, and I've been doing it for 15 years or something like that.
It's probably like snakes for us. Like the amount of times, don't you run into snakes all the time? It's like, not really, man.
Yeah.
Like it's very uncommon for me to see a snake.
They're there though, aren't they? Yeah.
But
we we've been in close proximity before to bronzies and great whites. Like mates of mine have seen them, meters from my fins, and I just didn't see them, like bronzies. But with the whites, we've been told by line fishermen, nearby that whites just, grab the fish near their boat and, they come belting over to us and get out of the water.
But most of the time it's just mistaken identity. They're not actively chasing.
I mean,
have you looked into those hex suits? Like,
yeah. I don't know heaps about them though, to be honest with you. But
I think it merges like a bunch of like technology and camo all together, kind of like the shark shields, and
there's something with your
it takes away your electronic. Yeah. It's cool. People use them for hunting too. Like there's a whole hunting hex suit that you can get.
Really?
And apparently they work pretty well.
But these are.
It's I don't know the specifics, but people do use them as well. So Spiro.
There's a new wetsuit on the market that's just like, I don't know what it's made out of, but it's just super resistant to shark bites. I mean, it's gonna fucking bruise you if you get
some type of Kevlar type.
Yeah, but it's stretchy and but you just won't you won't get punched as easy. So that might be a little bit of peace of mind, but I'd rather stop the shark from getting close to me with the shark shield.
Yeah, like the one time I went, man, like every shadow, like the cloud would go in front of the sun. I'm like, what's that? Like it's something that
it gets less, but you always seeing shadows, and your ringer's going a bit.
So what dangers can you run into spearfishing, and what can you do to reduce them?
The blackouts, definitely. Buddy dive. You're not feeling up to it, don't push it. It's a common phrase, but no fish is worth your life. Just leave it. Push your boundaries in a safe zone, and you pool or an actual free dive session with mates. Just don't push for your PBs when you don't have anyone nearby, and so it's kind of common sense.
Basically, buddy system.
Yep.
Shark shield. Yep. Just your common safety stuff to. Peace of mind.
Yeah.
End
Not
of the
too
day.
many people use shark shields. I've been really surprised by that. Like different states. I went to Victoria to do state titles, and they had one at the pre-dive sort of talk, and everyone was like, "What the fuck are you wearing that for, you pussy?" I'm just trying to.
Because I don't want to be bit.
You do you. But I don't know. There's enough research out there to make me comfortable anyway. Getting wrapped by a big fish is definitely another danger. I've got caught out a couple of times where fish, they're not actually that big, but whether it was a kingfish or a snapper or something, but they'll run around you or around a bit of a reef there or something, and then all of a sudden you're tied to the ocean floor by the line that's around you.
Yeah.
And that's when a knife, you got to have your knife handy, you got to be relaxed. Like, that's happened a few times where I've come really close to being out of breath, and it's definitely something that I can see being an issue, especially with tuna. A lot of linos know that they run the circles.
Yeah.
And that they do that when you're in the water as well. Like one that we had last weekend, it was only a small one, and had my dive buddy next to me, but this thing was like down 10 meters or something.
Yeah.
Just sort of ran like a little circle, and then all of a sudden it just comes like straight up to us and does a full loop around us, like loops us in, and you have a 20-kilo fish. And
so for bigger fish, do you have like floats? Like I say, with the real big fish, they hook the line up to a float to kind of ride it out and wear it out. I heard on the Meat Eater podcast recently, Kimmy Warner. I'm not sure if you follow her too much, but she's a Hawaiian spearfisherman, and she was talking about spearing at 700-800 pound marlin or whatever it was. She's only 55, 60 kilos, and she's like kind of holding on to the buoy and getting dragged along for.
You definitely want to be running a float in most cases. Some people might run.
So what kind of fish size would you start running a float for?
Or
is it just species specific?
I mean, you always would run a float, but whether or not you use that to fight the fish, I reckon, I don't know, anything sort of over 10 kilos.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be under guns. You know, you might think, oh yeah, I might come across 8-10 kilo kingfish, and then a 30 kilo fish swims by, and you don't have the gear there.
Yeah.
You're better off to be over guns with your floats than under guns. So yeah, 10 kilos plus. I reckon. Ideally, I would be running a float, and you can just sort of let it all go and relax, and let the fish wear out a bit, and then bring it up.
So what's your ideal shot on a fish? Is it like well, I'm not sure if you call it broadside when we have something completely side on to us, we call that broadside. Is it like you're tucking in behind the gills, behind the fin?
Yeah.
Are you
I
stoning them, going with a good headshot, or?
Yeah, ideally you want to stone fish, but sometimes the stone shots won't present, and then so it's about getting a good holding shot.
Yeah.
And usually the time between when you shoot a fish to dispatching it, especially in SA with our sort of smaller species, you're talking seconds.
Yeah.
You shoot it, and
Pull it in.
It's done. So you just want it so it doesn't tear out. So I haven't hunted too many bigger pelagic fish, but you don't really want to get that true broadside shot.
Yeah.
Because you do your bow hunts, and imagine shooting something and then it sort of trying to run off at a perpendicular, and it would tear.
Yeah.
It'll bend your bend the spear or the arrow or whatever, and you want to try to salvage the gear if you can. So ideally you want to wait till that fish is swimming off at about a 45.
Yeah.
And then shoot it. Yeah.
Tuck it in behind the back fin.
Yep. Ideally
side
spine
fin
shot.
there. Yeah.
Done. Yep.
Shooting fish in the head, like stoning them. Do you have to worry about like certain species, like you're not getting a full pass through what you want, or the spear stopping on the skull?
Yeah. Generally, bigger pelagic.
Yeah.
You got to watch for that. But typically, if you're going to be in areas where there's going to be bigger pelagic fish, you want to, you will sort of be prepared.
Yeah.
Like bigger tuna. We do get some barrels here.
Yeah.
It's definitely on my wish list. But
you need to chat to James. He'll have a good chat to you about it. I reckon he loves his barrels.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see him in the water. But yeah, you do want to get that full penetration where you can, and there's no real fish that I think you wouldn't shoot because you're worried about the penetration. Usually if you're approaching those fish, you should be able to get it all the way through anyway. Just make sure you select your gear right, and should be sweet.
Top 5 dream places to dive and species to chase.
I don't. I'm not overly well travelled in that respect. I've dove a couple of different locations in southern Australia, but as far as international goes, hasn't even been on the radar over the last couple of years. We were planning on going, but bloody COVID again. But most of my fish still are probably like SA ones, or southern Australia anyway. But the Barrel's definitely up there.
Yeah,
that's one that either in Victoria or South Australia there near the border.
Port Mac.
Yeah. Yep. And
Portland, Port Mac.
Yeah,
that's where all the barrels tend to be caught.
Yeah, it's be a challenge though. But yeah, they test your gear out. But a few of the lads that are in the club, they have got on the barrels before. They were the first people. Dave and Sam Dawson, they were the first people to actually spear a tuna over a southern bluefin over 100 kilos, I think it was.
That's nuts. So, I couldn't imagine, especially getting dragged through the water, something that size. But especially tuna, because they're just freaking missiles through the water, torpedoes.
Yeah. He was telling me about it, and he saw hundreds of them. He said that day, it's just epic to see, and there were whales there, everything. And he said that he nearly got cleaned up by a fish that was coming through the bait ball as well, 100 kilo fish just going.
It would not be fun. It would be almost like a islander hitting you, like playing rugby.
Yeah, it's leave you with a mark, that's for sure. But yeah, big snapper is another one that I want to get. Come pretty close to getting a record for that before, but yeah, that's on the wish list. And mahi mahi, that's another one. They're
Beautiful fish, dolphin fish.
Yeah, they're sustainable as well. You know, like they're so fast growing. Taste good.
I like how they chase like just floating bits of timber and just chill under timber floating through the water. That's
it'd be awesome to get onto those, and and probably big mulloway, and that's probably sort of my list done. But got mulloway.
Big mulloway would be sick.
Big one, yeah.
Mulloway jewfish for the interstate state guys, and you know, if anyone's Africa, those jewfish over there get pretty.
What are they called there? They're called something else.
I thought they were jewfish, but they could be something else.
They look similar, but they're
huge.
Next level, aren't they?
How do you see the public views on spearfishing?
Pretty warped. Probably pretty similar to hunting, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. Just
lot
not enough knowledge out there, and
yep. People just chucking their ideas around that. Just a pure lack of information. You know, most people you can kind of correct them a bit with just through education.
Yeah.
But it is a little bit misguided, definitely.
How would you change the public views on spearfishing and spearfishermen?
I think a lot of people, even people that are ocean users, line fishermen and stuff, you know, they think it's easy, it's cheating, yada. You sort of cop it all, but at the end of the day, it is the most sustainable way to fish.
Yeah,
we're selective. There's no bycatch, minimal anyway, unless you shoot 2-in-1, which doesn't usually happen. But it's it's definitely something that I think just you got to get the word out there.
Yeah.
A while back, I was asked to do an interview for on ABC on the radio. And I rang Dave, and I was like, and Dave's the president of the spearfishing club, and I said, Dave, I've been asked to do this. I don't really want to do it. I don't really want copping the any negativity or anything like that. And he said, mate, it's an opportunity. Like we've got to, you got to be. I think the general public needs to know that it is a hobby. It is a thing that goes on, and there is correct ways to do it. He said, use this opportunity, like get your voice out there, and it's just a matter of just steady.
How'd you go with the ABC interview? Did you get a
better than you? I think from the sound.
That's not across that today.
Still, The problem is, I suppose this podcast will get listened by hunters and fishermen. It's not just it's unlikely to just pop up on some, vegan's feed.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm a lot more ready to do something like this. But, when it started, when the pictures, so it was when we shot a couple of big kingfish, a 32 kilo kingfish and a 37 kilo kingfish. And, when the picture of that, us sort of holding that, then got posted on all the ABC Facebook pages, most people were like, wow, awesome, good job. Then you get a lot of these, grannies that were just like, why'd you shoot it? Why'd you do that? And trophy hunting.
You see it with guys catching rays metro and sharks metro and stuff like that. Just the backlash that these guys that pull the stingrays up and gaff them through the wing and then unhook them, let them go. There's been some pretty brutal media coverage on that in recent years.
Yeah, but it was alright in the end.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Are there any silly laws on spearfishing in South Australia that don't make sense and that you would change?
Probably something that we discussed right at the start, which was that metro sort of lockout.
Yeah.
You can line fish in a lot of areas. Why can't you spearfish?
Yeah.
People have this warped perception that
they're going to get shot.
Yeah, and it's like this. I don't know. The range of spear guns is so minimal anyway. it just doesn't happen. You know, people just people that do have injuries from spear guns are when people are spearfishing themselves. You know, they're with their mates in the water. And
just bad muzzle control per se, like that.
Yes, it's not going to happen if old mate's sitting on the beach with their family, or they're in the water. You're not going to get a spear fisherman right on there anyway. And I don't know, it's
the
very.
Spear's not just going to travel 100 meters out the water, boom, harpoon someone on the beach. You know,
it's it's steadily. I think because of the awareness of this is a hobby. It does happen. There are good people out there. Dave Schofield and putting his face in the political scene, which I
see his name out quite there a bit on the fishing pages, and mutual friends of ours mention him quite a bit. So
he's a good lad. Does a bit of hunting as well.
Yeah.
So, but that whole 600 meters away from Metro is probably something that I see a little bit silly. But we're getting there.
What is spearfishing to you?
Just generally like a way of life, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much of my time is spearfishing, and you make so many mates. The community of it is just epic.
Yeah.
One thing I love about it as well is like, you know, people that I idol.
Yeah.
Like, so this is my hobby, you know, my sport, if you want to call it that. The best of the best in Australia. Like I can message them on Facebook. Like you get access to it. The community is just so inviting.
It's different to other sports, and hunting's the same. Like majority of the time, you know, someone who's well up in hunting, they're still in that reach where they'll reply to a message. You know,
it's just awesome to have access to that.
And spearfishing would be an even smaller community than hunting. Like it just limits.
Yeah, but it's just you know, all my great memories in the last recent 10 years have all stemmed from trips and
all your mates you made. It's very similar to hunting from what you're saying. Like, you know, I can picture, you know, all your waking seconds if you got a spare moment to think about something. It's where you're going next, how you're going to approach something next, what gear you're taking, what's this, who you're going with. Like it's the same with me. Like I drive trucks all day and my mind's just hunting, fishing, hunting.
It takes up a bit of time, doesn't it?
Picturing scenarios go through your head. Like, if a fish is here, how am I going to approach it? It's... I can see by your reaction, like, you're like...
it happens. Yeah.
How would you like to be remembered?
It's a bit of a tricky one because, you know, I suppose more along the lines of just being... you know, fun to dive with, and just not so much. I'm not pushing to be remembered as an epic diver or anything like that, but it is something that I think you know, I personally got to work on a bit because over the last recent years, you know, you're so set on, all right, what's my next fish? What am I going to target next? And you kind of you're not always in the moment. You focus on the fish. It's like just slow down a little bit. You know, enjoy the company with you. You know, fish will get landed. You know, just calm down a little bit. And I think I still got to work on that a little bit. But just being a good fun bloke to go dive with, and you know that'll come with more invites for diving as well. And it's that'd be what I'd want to be remembered with. Yeah.
No, that's good, man. Random one. Most random fact you know.
Thought about this one. The fish can change their sex. So I think a few people know about this. Some people might not at all.
Yeah, a few different species.
Yeah. But like blue gropers, that's our sort of more known one. So blue gropers are a pretty big species of fish that we get here. I don't know exactly how big they can grow, but excess of maybe metre long plus, and just real fat fish. But yeah, when they're born as female, and a few years later, a bit of growth behind them, and they'll then change to male. But they can also change to male based on who they're hanging around. So if you've got a group of them, generally there'll be one male, a few females, and that male gets out overfished or dies or something
Yeah.
happens to it, eaten by a shark, whatever, the female will then, within days, start acting more manly and step up to the plate and become the...
Yeah, that's nuts.
Man,
Barramundi
that's it.
do that too.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure. They
Yeah,
start
right.
off at one sex and finish at another.
Yeah.
But I think it's opposite. I think it's younger a male and then older a female.
Yeah, right.
But there's heaps in the...
Just found it
Like,
crazy how it can happen so quick. You
Yeah.
know, like within 14 days, I think it is, that they can transition, you know.
Hey,
mean-
it's good for fish stocks. We
Yeah.
can't complain about that.
Yeah, that's it.
So where can people find you?
Coastal Lads.
Coastal Lads on Instagram?
Instagram, yeah.
Is that coastal_lads? Yep.
Yep. So
And anyone have any questions, hit you up.
definitely.
You
yeah.
and your guys on
Yep.
there will hit back.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, any questions, hit us up on there or Facebook. The Golf Skin Divers. That's the club that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
If you can jump on that, and yeah, awesome bunch of mentors on there that will answer any questions, help anyone out, and yeah.
Too easy, man. Thanks for jumping on and thanks for coming on random notice. Like I said, you were recommended from one of our mutual friends, and then when I was researching questions to ask you, quite a few of the guys that I reached out to, they all spoke highly of you. So
Awesome.
it was awesome to have you on and pick your brain about something I know next to nothing about. So
It's good. It's
I
been
appreciate
a good
it.
opportunity to get out there and spread the word. Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for listening. Please find us on social media, Instagram Hunting Connection Podcast, Facebook Hunting Connection Podcast, and Twitter at Hunting Connect. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast app you are listening on, rate and review, share and recommend to friends and family. Thank you for listening.